This video, I'm going to run through a really common error that we see in automations. And so at the time of recording this, ShipHero does not have the ability to include or statements here. You have to do this a slightly different way. And so what I'm going to show is essentially the wrong way that it's set up and what we need to do to fix it, because this is something that's pretty common. So if you are a client that are setting these up or one of our team members that's going through it, hopefully this video explains it in a little bit more detail. So in this specific automation, if we transfer this to kind of plain English, we want the box set to this if someone orders 2 or less candles. And so theoretically you would say, okay, well, if it's any one of these, which these are the candle SKUs, and they only order less than 2, then I want you to set this box. And then we have an automation that says if they order 3 or more, you could set that box type and so forth. Now, at face value, you might see this is the first, the second, the third. But because these are and statements, the only way this rule would apply, at least for the top piece, is someone would have to order this candle and this candle and this candle. And then we have this third one that says, and they would have to buy 2 or less SKUs. Well, that doesn't even work because this says we require 3. So this automation rule just would never trigger at all. And so what do we need to do to fix it? Well, the first thing we're going to do is store all these SKUs in a notepad so that we can easily reference them when we create it. So we have to use a function in ShipHero called a list, and we're going to use the trigger inListContains. And so the first thing that we need to do is actually go create that list. And so a list is essentially a group of values. So you could use like states, we've done that before, or SKUs. In this case, we'll use SKUs. So it's just kind of saying, hey, if it applies to any of this group of items, then I want you to trigger it. And you can still use these pieces here, right? So you'll see in list, not in list, all of these things. You could still use these types of modifiers or actions or triggers, depending on what word you want to use, against that list. So we're going to go back to automation rules, and you'll see here there's lists of data. So we've got one for subscription boxes. We've got another one, warehouse street names. We use this so that if someone puts in our warehouse address, we know to trigger a customer pickup. But what we found is that when we moved warehouses, people were still using the old address, so it wasn't triggering. So what we did is we created a list and said, okay, well, if they put in our Joshua address, which was the old one, or the enterprise one, we wanted it to trigger on both just to catch that. Otherwise, we would ship out stuff to our old warehouse. All right, so in this case, we need to create a list with these 3 SKUs. So we're going to hit create list. We're going to say candle SKUs. And you can see here it says enter value separated by comma. So it's really easy if you need to pull this from Excel or something, or in this case, I have this here. I also would recommend using ChatGPT for this if you do need it to build a comma separated list. That's super easy for you to kind of paste this all in if you have a big amount of data, and tell ChatGPT to make it comma separated, and then you can copy that and paste it over here. Okay, so now this list is created. If we refresh our screen, we should see a list. If we click into it, you can see now that they are separate items. This is really important. If I did not comma separate it, these would all be one line. And again, that would treat it as this one really long SKU. That's not correct. So first step, done. We have our candle SKUs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just edit this one here. And I'm going to say delete these because we don't need these. So if the SKU in list contains, meaning is the SKU in the list that I just created? What is that list? It is candle SKUs. Okay. And then the other piece of this that needs to be adjusted is this is just the wrong action here. So it doesn't necessarily play into the and versus or that I'm covering in this video, but I want to make sure it's correct. So this one we would say the sum of line item quantities in list is less than or equal to 2. And so what that does is make sure that it says, okay, we have the items that are in this list, and the sum of the items in that list is 2 or less, then we want you to set this box. And so that is how you would set this up for properly using the or modifier, or statement is the better way of putting it. So again, to kind of explain this in plain English, what we're saying now is if an order comes in and the SKU is any of the SKUs in this candle SKU list that we just created, and they order 2 or less of them, then we want you to set this box. So that is just a common issue that we see with automations, and figured a video here would help explain it. Thanks.